All right, I believe we're ready to get started.
All right, thanks so much, Sally. Hi, my name is Samantha Agwam, and I'm helping to facilitate today's Elder Law Fair webinar that will be presented on senior scams and fraud. But just to get us started and kind of welcome you to this series of webinars, we have New York State Senator Rachel May, who, among other things, is the chair of the Committee on Aging, and she's going to say a couple welcoming remarks for today. So I'm going to stop my screen share so we can see.
All right. Thank you,
Rachel.
Samantha
Yes.
and Sally and everybody who's put this together. I just want to welcome everybody to this series of presentations, and I'm really grateful to the Volunteer Lawyers Project of Onondaga County for presenting this information that is so critical to our seniors and our population at large, really. But seniors are so vulnerable to theft and fraud and abuse. I have a bill to designate identity theft as elder abuse because that has become a major issue for a lot of seniors as well. This series is going to cover senior scams and fraud. It's also going to cover housing rights, caregiving resources and support, and estate planning. These are all issues that we're working on in the legislature in various ways. I have a number of bills about caregiving, both trying to develop the workforce so people can get care in their homes, but also to support family caregivers who are caring for people in their homes already. And also trying to help people visit their loved ones in nursing homes. Our compassionate care bill was a big deal that is getting implemented as we speak. And that was a heavy lift, but something that was really important to make sure that people could have that kind of connection, especially now in these difficult times. So one of the things we're planning coming up pretty soon is a series of hearings about the healthcare workforce and making sure that we have the workforce that we need as our population ages and people need more care in their homes, care in nursing homes and home care facilities of various kinds. So all of these things we're working on at the legislative level, but the folks who are doing the work on the ground with individuals, helping people really navigate their way through a lot of these complicated issues are right here on this call. And I'm grateful to you for presenting, Nicole, and to Sally and Samantha again, and I hope everybody will tune in to the future events as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Senator May. It's great to hear some of the initiatives happening as well. We appreciate the updates. I'm going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about logistics real quick and share my screen again. Just give me one moment. And so basically, I want to remind everybody, if you're here today, you probably know about and you registered on our website, www.onvlp.org/Elder Fair 2021. This is where you're going to find registration for future series that we have. We're going to have 3 more this month of May, again on Thursday and again from 12 to 1 on various topics. You'll also find a recording of this seminar today. If for some reason you had to step away, leave early, or weren't able to attend the full thing, don't worry, it's recorded and we'll provide it later on the same website. You can find those resources there, as well as other resources for our community partners. A lot of our presenters today and in our future seminars have also provided some great information, great links that we're also going to share on there to look out for. And if there are any questions or concerns that you didn't find addressed on the website, you still have more, please feel free to send a message to this email. It's elder@onvlp.org. I get those emails, and then a phone number you can contact as well is 315-579-2579. If you have any questions that aren't being answered on there. I'll go over these again at the end of the session today, but these are the ones that we have coming up. as well. And I just wanted to do, before we get started with Nicole's presentation, just do a quick thank you to our planning committee for this event. So we've got AARP, long supporter of this program when we used to have it in person. Special shout out to Deborah O'Shea and Robert O'Connor. Colleen Gibbons with the Center for Coordination, Lee Gatto with State Planning Council of Central New York, Jeff Unitas with Onondaga County Bar Association, Joe Anspo Decker, and a bunch of other folks over at the Onondaga County Office for Aging, Rachel May's office, especially Ingrid Gonzalez McCurdy and Odisha Hernandez. They were super helpful in bringing this all together. Jenny Ackley with Vera House, my colleagues, Bethany Hemingway and Sally Curran at Volunteer Lawyers Project. And just a shout out to a couple other attorneys, Ellen Weinstein and Emma Cardle, all very much part of planning this presentation and these webinars this month. So we greatly appreciate all their time they volunteered to help do this. So with that, I will pass it on to Nicole to talk about the senior scams and fraud, what we all came here to hear about. So I will stop sharing my screen, Nicole, so you can share yours.
Great.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Nicole, while you're getting your screen up, let me just jump in real quickly and say, for those who are attending, in addition to the ASL interpretation, we do have live captioning enabled. To be able to view that on your end, you need to click on the little button that says live transcript and select show subtitle. That's all. Thank you so much. And I'll hand it right back to you, Nicole.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sam and Senator May, for that introduction and talking about this series. I'm very excited to be here today to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, senior scams and fraud. I am the fraud risk manager at NBT Bank, and unfortunately, senior scams are something that we see every day. So I want to talk about a few different things today. First of all, I want to get started with talking about what really elder fraud is and what we define that as with a few different definitions. So elder fraud, or the act of targeting older adults, which attempts are made to deceive promises of goods. Excuse me, one second. I can't see with these pictures over here. There we go. I apologize for that. Elder fraud is the act of targeting older adults in which attempts are made to deceive with promises of goods, services, or financial benefits that do not exist, were never intended to be provided, or were misrepresented. Elder financial exploitation, a little bit different, still targeting our older adults, but the illegal or improper use of an older adult's funds or property. This often occurs from a known individual, such as a caretaker or a family member. And then scams are deceptive schemes or tricks used to cheat someone out of something, especially money. It's important to note that any scam can turn into an elder fraud situation when it involves an older adult, although some scams that we see are more prone to older adults. Senior citizens are unfortunately one of the most targeted groups for identity theft and fraud. One study has estimated that scammers steal $2.9 billion a year from seniors. And really something we want to think about here is why. Why is it from seniors that these funds can be stolen? Generally speaking, they're trusting, polite. They may have a financial savings account that they've been saving for, lifetime retirement, often own a home, and have good credit. These things, unfortunately, make them the target for some scams. And we want to talk about, how a scam really starts. There's different ways that scams can come about. Oftentimes we see phone calls, social media, dating sites, or even mail, email, either type of mail there. We see these coming from these different channels. So people answering phone calls, perhaps from somebody they don't know, perhaps a phone number is being spoofed to look like a common number, a trusting number that they might receive. Sometimes people are signing up to meet people through a dating site, talking to people they're familiar with on social media, and the conversation often changes to money. So some common scams that we see amongst the population are grandparent scams, or per device. So by phone, we see often grandparent scams, investment scams, remote access scams, and the old sweepstakes lottery scam, like you're a winner even if you didn't apply for it. Online, we see some of these, you'll see repeats, but romance scams, very common online, investment scams, and remote access. And through the mail, we generally have seen investment scams and sweepstakes lottery scams. I'm going to go into each one of those a little bit more in depth to talk about what kind of red flags there are and what the scam looks like. So a grandparent scam often starts from a call from someone posing as a grandchild. They're maybe claiming that they're in trouble, in an accident, they're being arrested, could be a robbery, they're in some sort of danger, and they need money quickly. And they want you to send that money either through gift cards, a wire, Western Union, something that's quick to do and that they could get their money equally as fast and have it not traceable. And they also warn you, please don't tell mom and dad. Now, why these are successful often is that the phone call comes in, there's an explanation for everything. The reason the phone number doesn't match the phone number you have for them, they're calling from the jail, they're calling from the police station, and they'll tell you, I'm not doing so well, my voice is different because I have a cold. And they also depend on the person who picks up the phone, the potential grandparent, to give out some additional information that they can go by. So they'll say something, possibly joking around, oh, grandma, this is your favorite grandson. And grandma says, oh, Alex. And now the fraudster has a name to go with. So that can happen and create a sense of trust for the grandparent who's answering the phone. Now, oftentimes, these calls could just be cold calls. They could be calling anybody. I know I personally received a couple last summer. They answer the phone, grandma. I know I don't have any grandchildren, so I know that this was not intended for me. But if you do have grandkids, and maybe that your favorite grandson Alex gets into trouble from time to time, you want to help him out. So you might go along with that scam. Moving on to investment scams. So these ones have quite a few different situations that can happen. There may be, they promise that everyone is doing it. There's going to start out with small amounts and start continuing to rise the price. Investments don't make sense. They might be going to an individual instead of a business. This individual might not be someone you've worked with in the past for legitimate transactions. You might have to take funds out of an investment account to do it. So that we see oftentimes, individuals might come in, they want to take money out that they've had from retirement, that they've been saving for quite a few years, from one investment account to move it to another, but it needs to go through multiple channels, including to an individual. They might string along the victim by claiming this is the last payment before payoff. So I've seen scenarios like that as well. If I take a look with the customer, they've been making payments right along, and they are very insistent that this one needs to go out the door because this is the last one and they're going to have all of this money coming in. There's also going to be a warning to act fast before an offer expires. A sense of urgency is often a red flag that we see in most scams. That fraudster knows that when they have you on the line, they have such a short amount of time to try to get you to send those funds, and they want to take advantage of that. So these investment scams, like we talked about a few slides ago, can come, through the mail. They could come through the phone. You might see them online. You might even click on an ad that you think is legitimate. It might have popped up. It could be a phishing email, and it could be promising, these really great turnarounds on investments. The lottery sweepstakes scam. This is one that used to be very, very prevalent. We haven't seen it as much in the past few years, but it does still keep coming up. This one used to come in through the mail a lot. People would get something in the mail saying they won the lottery. Some of the big red flags here is that you won the lottery, but you didn't play. Do you have to send money on to pay for the taxes or fees? A lot of times it will say you're going to get $1 million, but all you need to do is send in this $10,000 first, and then we'll send you the rest of the money. Always be cautious of anything that's asking you to send money to get money. The form of payment or the payee for the taxes or fees might be suspicious. You may be contacted via email, phone, or online. And the last one here, I know it's cut off, but it does talk about the check that you're being asked to deposit is not coming from who you would expect it to be coming from the lottery. It might be coming from an individual's name or a business. So if a check is sent to you to say you won the lottery, but in order to cash that, you need to send some money back, just be conscientious of anything sounding too good to be true. So remote access scams, we have been seeing these picking up quite a bit. Unfortunately, not just on computers anymore, they are migrating over to cell phones, the smart devices. They often started with a tech support scam or a pop-up asking you to call. So either a phone call or maybe on your computer saying that something is wrong with your computer. And once they tell you that, they're going to ask you for remote access. So they might ask you to go to a website such as a teamviewer.com, logmein.com, various apps on your smartphone to get access to your computer. So once the remote access is achieved, there's often a transfer of funds. Sometimes we see that right between the victim's own accounts. So they log into the computer, they gain access to online banking, and they do a transfer from your own savings account to your own checking account. And they make it look like there was an accident, an overpayment, and they're very frantic, and they're going to tell you that they're going to be fired. They need you to wire back the money. They're in serious trouble, and they're going to have a very big story behind this and why you need to do this. When I see these, oftentimes it's not a small dollar amount. It's confusing. Also, all these scams are designed to confuse you. So they might say you owe $450 to have your computer fixed. That's, the start of this remote access. So then they do this transfer and say that there's 45,000 was transferred by accident. We accidentally put a couple zeros. None of it makes sense because you were supposed to pay them, but now they're trying to tell you that there's overpayment and you owe them money. So you go to the bank and you try to do a wire, you send them gift cards. With gift cards, they're going to ask you for either pictures or over the phone to scratch off the back and give the gift card numbers, the PIN numbers. So those gift cards are gone as soon as you give them those numbers, and they're not able, to be retrieved. Wires, once those are out the door, those are guaranteed funds. So it is incredibly difficult to try to get wires back once they go. We do make every effort we can for customers once we learn that this might be a scam or that this is a scam to retrieve those funds. But with wires, the faster we know, the better chance we have of getting funds back. And the best chance is really just not sending the wire at all. So being on the lookout for that. People will not be calling you to have your computer fixed. If you have issues with a computer, if you're having issues with your phone, you would want to go to a trusted person, trusted company to have that fixed and have that looked into. Don't ever allow remote access to your computer or your phones. Romance scams. These ones are one of the toughest to really break through for our customers, to let them know that they're involved in a scam. So what happens is, somebody meets somebody online through a dating site, social media, maybe some other page, and the conversation starts. And soon after starting a conversation, if you meet somebody through the dating site, they will ask that conversation to go off of the platform and might ask to use a different type of communication that you aren't familiar with, something like a KIK Messenger, Google Chat, WhatsApp, or some different ones, but these are some common ones that we see for fraud. They want to get you off that channel and onto something else that they can be anonymous through. And after that, the conversation quickly changes to money. There's often an emergency illness or other convincing story. They need the money to travel out to see you. We see, family members dying that they're saying they need the money for. They need the money to come out to see you. They want to get married as soon as they get out there. They're trapped in another country. There's an issue with customs. The stories go on and on for why they need this money. And it doesn't stop with just one amount. Once they know you're good for the money, you send it one time, they're going to keep asking. What I see often is it might start similar to the investment scams. It might start with a little bit, $1,000, $2,000, and grow from there. They want to test out their boundaries and see how much money they can get from you. And they're also going to be asking you a lot of personal questions. They'll use this idea that you are in love and getting married to say, we're going to be husband and wife. I need to know all of your information, your social security number, your date of birth, your address, your bank account number. We're going to be sharing everything. And that should all be something you give to me now. Once they have that information, they might start opening accounts in your name, whether or not you know about it. They might tell you that they are, and then start asking you to conduct transactions between accounts, or they might have you open new accounts and give you instructions to go to a specific bank, to open things online, and to start doing transfers. They also might ask you to sign up for other services that you're not familiar with or not comfortable using. We're going to talk about it a little bit more later, but just to start with, some person-to-person payments, PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, they might ask for these types of transactions and you might not know how to use them. These fraudsters are very helpful when it comes to teaching you how to use these applications. They will stay on the phone with you. They will stay on the phone with you to use applications, to go to the bank. If they're asking you to do any sort of transactions, they will often try to stay on the phone with you the whole time. If somebody at the bank asks you, to please get off the phone, they are going to get very aggressive with you. Sometimes these things can turn to a threatening situation as well. We will also talk about that a little bit later. But romance scams, amongst all the scams, are probably the most profitable for the fraudster, and victims might start draining their life savings or taking out loans. I've seen people taking out second mortgages. I've seen people taking out personal loans. I've seen people deplenishing their partner's life savings, their life insurance benefits, all to send to these fraudsters. And again, once that money is out the door, it's gone. It's very difficult to get back if we're able to get back any of it. So just some general red flags for scams, for any types of scams. You're going to be instructed not to talk to anyone about the situation, including family and law enforcement. The fraudster's goal is to isolate you and to make you feel very nervous about anybody else, about anyone that you would normally trust. They are out to get you. They're going to tell you the only person that you can count on and depend is them, and not to share any of this information. They're really going to try to put that wedge between you and your family. You have to lie to your bank. Let's think back to that remote access scam. When someone is telling you they're fixing your computer and they accidentally sent too much money and now their job is on the line and they're going to get in trouble, why can't you tell your bank that? Why do you have to lie to your bank to say that this was for something else? They're going to tell you to say it's for a family emergency, you're sending it to your cousin, all different stories, but they don't want you to tell the truth because your bank is going to pick up on that. So if you have to lie to your bank, if you have to lie to your family, if you are being what we would call coached to say specific things, try to think back why you can't say what you would want to say or tell somebody what's actually going on. There's often a lawyer, a captain, an attorney, someone else with some type of title to give an authoritative appearance. Sometimes with these money laundering scams where they go to multiple people, we'll see that, someone's in the military, they need the funds, but you're going to have to send it to their captain. And from then it's going to go to the lawyer, and then it's going to get to somebody to be able to come home. Don't get tied up with the title to think that that makes them legitimate situations. Please note that the military is not going to be asking you to pay to get somebody home. They're not going to be asking you individually for food, for clothes. The military will take care of that for them. So that seems to be a common misconception with these scams. People start to feel bad for somebody that they're overseas serving our country and they're not being fed. So that is not the case. Money is going to come into your account and you need to send it back out. So think about that. If somebody is giving you money, why are you not using the money? You have to send it to somebody else. That's making you what we call a money mule. You're in the middle and your account is now just being used for fraudulent activity, getting money in and sending money back out. And we try to talk to our customers about this who might be wrapped up in one of these scams. You don't want to have that fraud coming through your account. We don't want it going through your account, but you don't want to be the last place that someone else's money went that didn't belong to you. Because if there's an investigation going on, we don't want to make it look like you were responsible for that. You're getting instructions from someone else, but let's not use your account for situations that really aren't for you. We talked about this a little bit with the investments, but the investments are going to an individual name. This is definitely a red flag. If you are doing an investment, I would expect to see that you are investing in a legitimate account that has a name to it, a common financial institution. So that is definitely going to be a red flag. You're asked to use applications that you've never used before and provided instructions on how to log on and build an account. So we talked about this a little bit before, but the instructions, they might stay right with you on the phone and explain to you exactly how to do that. Those are, these fraudsters might seem like they're being generous, but they are actually just ensuring that you are going to do what they're asking you to do. You are asked to buy gift cards and provide the numbers over the phone. So this we talked about before as well, but you don't ever want to provide gift cards right over the phone because then those funds are going to be out the door. They're gone. Next slide. So how do we end it? This is going to be one of the most important things that we talk about. You just have to start talking about the situation. While it might be uncomfortable, you need to have that conversation. Talk to your friends, talk to your family members, start telling the bank the truth. Start talking about what is going on. Don't answer the phone when they're calling, and possibly get a new phone number. So see if you're able to, if it's a cell phone, get a new number. If it's your home phone, are you able to get that number changed? Sometimes it depends what kind of facility you're living in. You might need to work with the home, the assisted living facility to get a new number if it's through them. So we talked a lot about scams. Let's talk a little bit about exploitation. The individual isn't themselves and appears withdrawn, nervous, or guarded. So you'll start to see, for our branches, we might have a customer that comes in daily, weekly, and now all of a sudden they just seem different. They're not smiling, they're not happy, they seem scared. Transactions that they're asking for seem to be a little different than what they would normally do. The individual might express that their bills aren't being paid. So, are they eating? Are they stating that they're cold and their heat has been shut off? Has anything happened with their home and they're being evicted, or something's going on with their rent and they're not able to pay it? And the banking activity is changing. So balances might be decreasing significantly. ATM withdrawals might be increasing significantly, and maybe they've never done ATM withdrawals before. Perhaps the individual doesn't even drive and can't get out on their own, and somebody else is using that card now who wasn't before. So those are some of the major red flags that you would see for an exploitation. And how can we help somebody who's being financially exploited? You can call Adult Protective Services. Really, anyone can make a call to Adult Protective Services on the behalf of an older adult. They would need to be 65 or older, or have some other type of disability that would qualify them for services. But you can call to report a situation, and Adult Protective Services will be able to determine whether or not they are available for services. You can contact local law enforcement. They work very closely with Adult Protective Services, and we work with both on many of our cases. They can assist and try to figure out some next steps.
Something that's another option, it depending on your relationship to the older individual, you could become a joint owner on account, or a senior can appoint a joint owner on an account, or a power of attorney if that's applicable. So just another thought there to try to get some additional assistance and some oversight into an account and its activity. Now, we're seeing some differences with how we have traditionally seen elder financial exploitation and elder fraud. So we did talk about a few of these things, but I want to just go into it a little bit into more details. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoins, we're seeing this often as a requested form of payment. Many of the individuals who are targeted for this type of situation don't know how to purchase cryptocurrency, don't really know what it is, but the fraudsters are going to help you out. There are some ATMs that can be used to purchase Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency. So they may be asking you to go to a specific ATM to deposit money, to get it transferred and converted to cryptocurrency. Person-to-person payments. We talked a little bit about this as well. Venmo, PayPal, Zelle. There's many different ones out there. These are okay to use. It's not that you can't use these types of payments. If you're paying something legitimate to someone you know, you should not be doing PayPal or Zelle or Venmo to someone you don't know at the instruction of somebody that you don't really know. If you are needing someone else to tell you to sign up for these services, don't feel the pressure that you have to use them. If there is something legitimate that you need to pay, you can pay the way you've always paid. You can contact that company to ask specifically, and thinking about gift cards as well. We see many scams with taxes, the IRS telling you you did not pay your taxes and requesting it in gift cards. The IRS does not take gift cards to pay back taxes. Other companies, legitimate companies, are not going to take gift cards for your bills. So that should be a red flag as well. Remote access, we talked about this a little bit, but shifting to mobile devices. When you have remote access on your phone or on your computer, you have to get that device cleaned and wiped by a professional to make sure that there isn't anyone still sitting in the background there on your device with access to your information. Money mules, we talked about that again, but to go more into it, we don't want to see anyone's account. I don't want to see anyone be the victim of a money mule scam where their account is just being used to conduct fraud. Oftentimes, fraudsters will have you set up a brand new account, possibly at a new financial institution, or maybe the one that you have been using, just to specifically conduct this activity. So that should be a red flag too. If somebody is asking you to open up an account to start conducting this type of activity, that should be an automatic red flag and should not be opened. Threats and blackmail. We see these coming up depending on the scam. They've been starting to get more extreme. So some different calls that we have heard from is that somebody will call a person and let them know that their car has been found at the scene of a crime, at the scene of an accident. It might have been found with illegal substances in it, blood in it, and that now you are going to be liable for the activity that was conducted in your car. This type of situation, they're going to tell you not to call the police. They're going to say that they're going to, pay for your lawyer. Just hang up. Make sure that everything is okay with your vehicle, that it's in your garage, it's at your house. If there was something wrong and your car was in an accident and you were not in it, just make sure that you're calling law enforcement. You are not going to get in trouble for an accident that you were not part of. So it's 99%, that your car would never be involved in this accident they're calling you for, but you should just make sure that your car is not missing and report that to local law enforcement. Blackmail. Sometimes people will say that they have pictures of you or information about you that they are going to leak out to everybody, social media, send out emails, whatever the case may be, if you do not do something. So just know that these types of scams are meant to scare you and make you feel like you should go and send the money. This would often happen if you decided not to send funds on or wanted to be stop talking to somebody that you now know is a fraudster. So you would just want to call the police right away to let them know that somebody is now threatening you. And that's where, again, changing your phone number would come into play. You don't want these people to call you, and they're going to keep calling you. If you're involved in a romance scam and you stop talking to that individual, they will start reaching out to you again from that same platform that you used to start with. If you were on Facebook, if you were on any one of the main dating sites that are out there, because you were looking for a companion, they will then go back onto that site, change their name, change their profile picture, and start targeting you again. They know that you're good for the money if you already sent money, and they're going to keep coming after you, but as a different person. So we tell people you need to get off that site so that they don't keep following you and they don't keep trying to get you to send money. Unfortunately, these kind of tactics do work sometimes, and people send money on. And again, whatever channel they're asking you to send the money in, it's going to be very difficult to get that money back. One more way that they ask to send money that we've seen is through cash in the mail. They might ask you to take out thousands of dollars and mail it overnight to a location. Again, can be part of any sort of scam, who it's for, what it's going to, but they're still going to ask for that money and they want you to mail it. So a question that we hear about sometimes is, does there have to be a financial loss to be considered fraud? Being a money mule is considered fraud, and incoming funds are then transferred out or intended to be transferred out are also fraudulent. So yes, there can be a fraud situation without a financial loss to you. At some point, there would probably be a financial loss, but perhaps to start with, they are sending you money into your account, credits, and then asking you to send that money back out. So yes, you can still have a fraud situation even if you do not personally have a financial loss at the time. For some general reminders, your username and password should not be shared. If there is someone who needs to assist with banking, they need to be a joint owner or a power of attorney. If you have a joint owner, they can have their own online banking account that's attached to those same accounts that you have together that you share. Don't feel pressured to give out information or money that belongs to you. Your money is your money, and nobody should ask you to spend it in a way that you do not want to, especially if it involves sending it out through any of these channels. Always verify a person or company by researching and finding a phone number to call. So you don't want to call somebody at a number they have provided to you through an email that could be fraudulent. You want to make sure that you verify what that phone number is that you should be calling them to. Google it. If it's a company, if it's an investment firm, they should have a website out there that you can verify and find an appropriate phone number, and make sure that you're speaking with somebody who's at the company. We see this happen too with electric bills. You'll get a phone call saying that you've overpaid for your bill, or they didn't get your most recent check and they want you to pay excuse me, over the phone now. Hang up, call the company at the number you know, and make sure that your account is in good standing, and figure out the way that you, if any payments are made, pay the way you normally do, so that you're not going to fall into this type of trap. Don't answer the phone for numbers you aren't familiar with. I know this seems easy enough, but now it does become more difficult because fraudsters spoof numbers. So it can, come up as the same area code and maybe the same first 3 digits as your own phone number. So you might think it's a local number and it's just a fraudster. When you get a phone call and you answer it, and it's one of those automated phone calls that tells you that you've won something, tells you you've overpaid something, tells you that you owe additional money, gives you a solution to a problem you don't have, such as reducing your credit card debt, car warranties, Do not respond. You are going to be okay. If you answered the phone, just hang up. You don't need to give any information. Do not press any of the buttons they're telling you to get connected with somebody. Just hang up the phone. Don't feel pressure to be rushed. You need to slow down and think about a situation and make sure it makes sense before you start doing something. Don't let somebody make you feel like this is a one-time offer. You have to do it right now, or else you're not going to be considered for it. If that's the case, this is not the offer for you. You need to be able to do your research and understand if this is something that you feel comfortable doing. All right, and that concludes the presentation.
Thanks so much, Nicole. I think I'll have you keep the screen up just for a moment.
are.
You know, it went a little bit quicker than usual, and Nicole was so great about, we had a co-presenter and then they couldn't, you know, they had a conflict. So Nicole was like, I'll help cover the whole session. So we really appreciate it, Nicole. There's a lot of great information you provided. May I ask you to like maybe return to that one screen that said how to end a scam?
Yeah.
I think that might be useful for our attendees to just, sometimes if you didn't get a chance to get a good look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me, oops, get you onto my screen again. Is it still showing?
Yep, it still is.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it moved to my other screen.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
so
great.
let's go back to how to end them.
And it is possible for those who are attending, you can put questions using the Q&A button that's at the bottom of your screen as well. If you wanted to add anything, we have some time to see.
There we go.
Yeah, and I just want to put this up on the screen. Nicole, do you find that some people do hesitate to kind of, you know, when they are victim of a scam, to go and tell others and, you know, talk to
Yes.
their families? Yeah.
Yes, this is very common. You know, when I talk to somebody who's definitely involved in something, I might not know exactly what it is right then. I try to have a conversation with them to ask them, first of all, how are you doing? How are you feeling? These kind of situations really put a lot of pressure on people. It's a lot of weight on somebody. They're having trouble sleeping. They're having trouble eating. They're not leaving their house. They're scared. They're not themselves. And so it's very hard for them to open up because at this point, they're in such a place that they don't know who they can trust anymore. They are depending on that fraudster and think that everything that they're saying is true, and they're being told that everyone else is out to get them. So absolutely, they do not want to talk about it. They're nervous if they say something, things are going to be worse, and they're already feeling terrible. They don't feel good. They are not themselves, and they don't know how to get out of it.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you for that reminder. And yeah, the earliest the better, right? And for like you were with NBT Bank, do other banks have similar, you know, fraud advisors or help that if somebody is experiencing this with other bank accounts?
Yes, thank you, Sam. What a great point to bring up. Yes, I know NBT Bank, obviously we have a fraud department that, you know, if you're our customer, you can reach out to us. We have ways for you to get in touch with our fraud department directly that are out there on our website. Other banks are the same way. They're going to have ways to report fraud. If you're familiar with your bank and you go into the branches, you can report something there no matter what your bank is. You can go out to their website and find out what the best way to report fraud might be. Sometimes it's through an inbox, through an email. Sometimes there might be a generic call center number that can get you in touch with the appropriate department.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And I did have one question here. It says, if you could explain cryptocurrency at bank level signs you were seeing.
Explain cryptocurrency. What was that?
And it says at bank level signs you are seeing, and bank level signs, I guess, that you are seeing with cryptocurrency.
Bank level size.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure with the question, but maybe a little bit more about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so cryptocurrency is a digital currency that you're going to have like an online wallet that it's stored in. So it's not tangible. It's not money that you're going to be touching or depositing actual physical money. It's something that's done all online, and you have a digital wallet. You'll have like an app that you log into to monitor those funds, and you can use those funds to transfer to other financial institutions and move those funds around. So it's a different type of currency to use, not exactly like cash or checks. Everything is done online.
Yeah, okay. And how about like, and we had another question about tactics that scammers are using to get people involved as money mules. I know you touched on that a little bit, but can you, yeah.
Yeah, so money mules really is a generic term and can be used with any scam. So if you're doing if you're involved in a romance scam, you meet somebody online, you fall in love, you're communicating every day, and they come up with a story of why you need to send money. Some of those things we talked about, maybe they have a sick child, maybe they're trying to leave the country, some sort of item is stuck in customs, they need help getting this. Your account is going to be used to send those fraudulent transactions on. So they're going to say, I have somebody, maybe with one of those authoritative figures that we talked about. My lawyer is sending you money and you've provided your account number. Money comes into your account now and you're expected to send it out. So it's just that your account is being used as that middleman. Somebody's sending money to you and you're sending it back out.
Gotcha. I mean, I'm learning a lot today, Nicole. This is a lot of things I didn't know about either, really. So
Sure.
This is great. I did have one more question for you, and this is a good one too. And you touched on this as well. What if you're like the third party and you see somebody and you know it's a scam, or you suspect it's a scam, right? Something going on with your parent, loved one, but you need, how do you convince them? Because they don't believe it. They wholeheartedly believe that this is a real thing and I'm not being scammed. What are some tips for that?
Yeah, that is difficult. It is very hard to convince somebody that they're part of a scam. So really what you have to start doing is get other people involved that you can, if you can get professionals involved, the bank, law enforcement, adult protective services, anyone that you can get involved that could assist is going to be beneficial. Additional to that, the other thing you want to do is be able to poke holes in any of the story. So if they met somebody online, maybe you are tech savvy, you can take that picture and reverse image search it in Google and find where that profile's been created in other places. You can ask them for some additional details, oh, this sounds like it's a little too good to be true. What are some of the details about this investment? Where do you have to send the money? How are you getting that portfolio that you can log into to look to see that the funds are available for you? So any way that you can try to poke a hole in the story, but gently, because people are going to be defensive. They are going to be very upset, especially if it's a romance scam. This is somebody that they now believe that they are in a relationship with, believe that they are married to, and they don't want to hear from anybody that it's not true because they believe it is true.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm sure that happens with a lot of folks, unfortunately. And did we find resources like this on like MBT website or
Yes. Yep, right out at mbtbank.com, we have many different resources, how we protect you, how to protect yourself, information if you've become a victim of fraud, a victim of identity theft, all the steps that would be needed to take to start protecting your identity, reporting to credit bureaus. We do have all of that information right on our website, as well as what other financial institution you might use. They should have additional information as well. Now, our website is not a pay to play. You don't have to be an MBT customer. So you can certainly go out to our website and just take advantage of those resources. It's under our Fraud Information Center, and you're welcome to browse and see that information out there.
Okay, great. I did want to throw in I think a lot of people, cryptocurrency is a little new for folks, so we are getting some questions about that. Someone said that they believe that New York State didn't allow cryptocurrency. Is that true?
No, it's not that it's not allowed. There's just, I think there's been a lot of talk about cryptocurrency, a lot of concerns about using it. And there's a lot of fraud around it. When we see other types of scam, such as like a ransomware computer scam where somebody might hold your data hostage, they're going to ask for cryptocurrency to pay for it. So it's not that there's anything wrong with cryptocurrency or that it's illegal, but it is utilized for a lot of scams because it's not traceable. You can just be transferring it online.
Okay. And that's something that your bank could help with if you think that that's something going on with the cryptocurrency fraud?
Yeah, of course. If there's somebody who's being asked to send cryptocurrency, if there's a concern with that, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, I think that's all the questions we had. So that's terrific. Thank you so much, Nicole. Really great information. No, I'll ask you to close your screen and remind folks that we did record this. So you can find this on our website. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And just to give a couple different reminders. And just give me one moment. And so I just wanted to put up what our upcoming sessions are. So again, every Thursday this month, we'll be doing a session. So next Thursday, the 13th, we'll be doing senior renter rights and reasonable accommodations. Really great information from a landlord tenant attorney about those for those who are renting, and also accessibility and discrimination issues that we see with especially senior housing. There's a lot changing in housing law in general. So lots of good information to get from that. And then the following Thursday, we're going to be doing on session 3, caregiving support and resources. Again, we're going to have somebody speaking about framework for if you were to become a caregiver, you're becoming a caregiver, right? You know, we've got elderly parents that we've never had any experience doing this kind of work per se, and where do I start? How do I do this? And then as well as a lot of other resources statewide and locally that you can contact that we'll be providing. And lastly, we're going to wrap it all up this 4th Thursday with estate planning, good things to look about whenever, sadly, if we ever become incapacitated or, you know, once you're passed away, you know, last will and testament, things to get prepared and think about. So with that, I will say a reminder again that these are recorded. They'll be up on that website. I'll go back to that. You can find those and the other resources. Also, we're going to be putting in the chat here today a survey. So if you could please, it's only 5 questions. It should be very quick. If you could take a moment as an attendee for today to take a look at that and complete that. And it also will be emailed to you when you're registered. We put that on there as well. So again, really big thank you to Nicole. Lots of great information about senior scams and fraud, really fraud and exploitation that we all need to learn about and become aware of. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you in our future sessions. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Take care.